Oh no, hellos, and welcome back to another videos. And today we'll be taking a look at the Urza's Legacy. The Legacy of Urza. So yes, this is part 2 to the Urza's block, basically. And yeah, let's just get on to it, because we're gonna see some broken cards and some interesting ones you may have never heard of, but they're still pretty broken to me, honestly. So let's move on to number 10, which is the Defense Grid. Because I guess Urza had one big defense boy. I don't know what this card really was, but there it is, a defense grid, I guess. I guess there was a defense grid, I don't know. So yeah, defense grid is a 2 mana for an artifact for during each other player's turn. Spells played by another player cost 3 additional casts. So basically, um, spells cost 3 more to cast as long as or your opponent casts. Just basically read the card. I don't know how you would say that easier, but yeah. So basically, this is played in sideboards in modern decks using a way to dissuade from counter magic. This would just be sideboarded against control decks, because control decks would freaking counter boy unless you had a freaking Pact of Negation, which usually happens. Freaking Amulet Titan will get it and be like, you know what? I don't care. I paid 3. It's basically a counterspell. Okay then, you do that. It just makes it a living hell. Especially if they have Force Negation, because it's just 3 mana. I mean, yeah, it's usually what's on the card. Let's pay it for free, 3 mana, okay. It's like, god dang it. But yeah, it's still played in defense grid decks today, or not defense grid decks. It is played in, like, sideboards against combo decks, and people would use defense grid to protect their combo. Or you could just put in silence. I think that's a way better card than this. But you know what else is a way better card? Number 9, Palingrod. Yes, I said it, the Palingrod boy. So people have probably heard of this from EDH decks. This used to be an EDH staple. So if you had like double mana, you could basically get infinite mana, I believe. I bet, yeah, High Tide would definitely get you there, as long as you have the mana open. So yeah, why did I put Palinchron on this list? Only for the reason of what the power of this card was. So in a lot of EDH decks, they would just use combos with this card mostly because of its ability to return itself back to its hand. On top of that, when it enters the battlefield, it untaps with the 7 lands. Kind of broken, not gonna lie. And we already saw Peregrine Drake, so this is basically one on crack, because that's honestly what it looks like. It kind of looks like Drake, but naked. Oh yes, we're getting into the end, not safe for work territory. Yep, that's where we're going to now. But let's get out of that mess, because let's move on to number 8, which is Raincore, probably the best green Ura ever printed. I don't know if anything even comes close to that, but it's just the best mono green Ura ever printed. Nothing can really like succeed to this. Like nothing. It's really, really good. So Raincore is 1 green for an enchantment Ura. Enchanted creature gets +2/+0 and has trample. That is important and has trample. You can honestly give it trample permanently. And with a +2 boost, that's actually pretty good. And here's the best part: when Raincore is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, return Raincore to your hand. Holy crap, too good. So I put it on this list only because of the reason why this card exists. This card actually wasn't going to exist at this mana, by the way. There was some printing error and they wanted to make it extra mana, but they couldn't, and it ran to the prince, and it was printed with 1 green. It's the same thing with the skull clamp thing, but we'll get into that later. But yeah, this was just a printing error, and I honestly give it, like, I made it this high on the list only because of, like, the mistake they made. And this is the mistake they made. Printing it for 1 green, because giving something trampled, no joke, is pretty good. Just for 1 green, that's amazing. And if it fizzles, at least it still goes back to your hand. cast it again for 1 green. That's what I also like about it, is it has good tempo game, so kudos to that. And kudos to the number 7 card, because the number 7 card's pretty good, because number 7 is Cloud of Fairies. Yes. So, Cloud of Fairies, pretty same old with the Peregrine Drake, with the freaking Palingrod. Now we have Cloud of Fairies. Okay, let's read it. So, it's a 1 blue fairy flying. When Cloud of Fairies enters the battlefield, untap up to 2 lands. So, yeah, this card was pretty powerful in Pauper Fairy decks. Unfortunately, it had to get banned because of its powerful ability. Untapping up to 2 lands. So you can basically play another fairy if you want to. And they didn't really like that because it just made fairy decks really, really good. Because they could just cast another powerful fairy. So yeah, they had to ban this card only because of that reason. And honestly, you could probably do some combos with this, but I'm not too sure. I just don't see it. But hey, it has cycling too. That's really nice. Sometimes that can come in handy. And this card is really good, and I put it on this list only because of just getting something for free, even if it's 2 mana, is just way too good. And have cycling on top of it. Just makes it above Palingrod, definitely. Because at least you get card advantage, and you don't need to set up a stupid combo every time. So yeah, pretty good. So let's move on to number 6, and it's kind of a man for being number 6. But we'll give you the one example of the best manland in Urza's Legacy, and that's Treetop Village, but we're going to say number 6 are the Urza manlands. So the Urza manlands aren't like the Tron lands, they're actually like manlands. So what manlands basically are is lands that can turn into creatures. So what you could do with this is you can either add 1 green mana to your mana pools, or you pay 1 green to make this land become a 3/3 green creature with trample. It's probably, I don't know, would it be a beast? Until end of turn. And that was really important with the trample ability. That's pretty good. And this actually saw play in some decks. You'd be surprised. A lot of manlands see play in Modern, sometimes even in Vintage, sometimes even in Legacy. So you'll definitely see a manland. And this was a pretty damn good manland for what it did. And yeah, that's why these manlands were so good. But why are they called manlands? You know, it's 2020. We gotta call them womanlands too. So couldn't we just call it people lands? I don't know. But I'm gonna go based on the lingo. And if you guys like say I'm racist, I'm not trying to be racist, boy. I'm just saying, like, you could just make a people's land. Make that the new lingo. There we go. Now we're talking. Because we're also going to be talking to our memories. Okay, I've got to stop the puns. They're stupid. Because number 5 is Memory Jar. And it's 5 mana for an artifact. And so basically with Memory Jar, you can sacrifice it, and each player sets aside his or her hand face down and draws 7 cards. And then at the end of turn, each player discards his or her hand and returns his or her hand, and each card he or she set aside this way. So you basically get back the cards you set aside. Kind of like a memory in a jar. That's what it's trying to reference. So yeah, very favorable card, but unfortunately it had one bad downside. Now, in the olden days of Magic, this was actually played in a combo deck, in a combo Winters deck. This was called Megram Jar. So basically what you can do with Memory Jar is set your opponent to have them draw the cards, but when they discard them, they have to take the damage. And 2 times 7, that'll be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. 14 damage somewhat. And yeah, that's a lot of damage, and sometimes you can have multiple instances of it, because guess what? It wasn't legendary. You heard it. It wasn't legendary. God damn you wizards. Should have made Megram legendary, but you didn't, so it made this combo deck. And yeah, it was such a powerful combo deck that this card actually had to be emergency banned. And this was actually the first time Wizards ever did this to a card, was Memory Jar. And let's hope they don't have a bad memory about this, because They don't want to ever print this card. This was the only card of its kind. Pretty sure it's on the reserve list too. So, yeah. Let's move on to reserve list cards, and let's move on to some cool looking cards, because I like this card a little bit. And at number 4, we have Crop Rotation. Oh yes. So Crop Rotation is a 1 green instant for this. You have to sack a land, but you get to search your library for a land card and put that card on the battlefield. Then shuffle your library. Untapped, by the way. And any land. Wow. Really good. So, you're going to guess what this is played in? No? Well, it's basically played in Legacy Lands decks, hoping to search for the Thespian Stage Dark Depths combo in Legacy, because that card is so broken. Well, that combo is. But this can also be searched up for any other lands. Like if you need a strip mine, you can go get one. If you need something to take out, like creatures, get Tabernacle. If you need something like a return creature, there you go. Basically get any land out of your deck. And it was really good in Legacy Lands deck because they'd basically be running 4 extra copies of the Dark Depths combo, or better known Dark Depths. So basically a Dark Depths card. Or you can just search up the Thespian Stage, but most people would search up Dark Depths because Dark Depths is a cool boy, unlike the Thespian Stage, just made it broken. And yeah, Crop Rotation has some pretty good artwork because this is better. This is probably the only artwork I'd find, but there it is in all of its glory. And let's move on to number 3 in all of its glory, because this definitely looks like a Tower of Glory and also a Tower of Degeneracy, but we'll save that for later. So at number 3, it's Grim Monolith. Oh yes, probably one of the best 2 mana rocks in the game. So it's 2 mana, and this does not untap during your untap phase, but you can add 3 colorless mana to your mana pool. Holy crap. And you can untap it for 4. Here's the problem with that. You can make infinite mana with this card sometimes. Oh yes. If you had a way to give double mana, sure, that can work. If you have a way to untap it, well, you can get multiple uses out of it, so that's pretty good. Or what people would like to do is like bestow it with this weird enchantment combo and just, yeah, infinitely untap this and get mana. And yeah, this was actually broken just recently by Zerta combo decks in Legacy. And actually that card had to be banned because of it. Because it just made Grim Monolith combos way too good. Because with Zerta, you could just activate it and boom, get infinite mana. And win somehow. They would find a way to win. When there's a will, there's a way. And then there's Degeneracy, which is it. Part prison, part home. Exactly what the card reads. No joke. So yeah. No joke is going to be this card too, because this is a freaking joke. Because at number 2, we have Frantic Search. And you're going to need the Frantic Search because it's 2 blue for an instant, draw 2 cards, and discard 2 cards, and untap up to 3 lands. That sounds familiar. Kind of sounds like most of the cards on this list. That's because they are, because Urza Saga, Untapathon, basically. And yeah, you can see why this is broken. And it's actually played in Storm decks. You know why? Because it's basically a free spell and you draw a card. Pretty good. And yeah, this is played in test decks in Vintage because of the way it's worded. It says up 10 up to 3 lands. Well, you could just tap your mana rocks, tap your mana in response, and untap up to 3 lands. No big deal, no big deal. Why is this card not restricted? God damn it. Whatever. There's still Brainstorm, so honestly, I can care less. But yeah, Frantic Search is a really solid card. And let's just move on to number 1, because I think this is all what you guys were waiting for. This is what I was waiting for too. Number 1, Tinker. In the Tezzeret Boy style artwork. 2 blue and a sorcery. An additional cost to cast Tinker. Sacrifice an artifact. That's gotta hurt. But you can search your library for an artifact card and put that card onto the battlefield. What? It's like you can get a turn 1 win with this in Vintage. Holy crap. So yeah, Tinker. This was actually played in decks called Tinker. So what you could do with this is you could search up your Blightsteel Colossus, but why would you want to search that up? When you could search up freaking Paradox Engine. Abandon in Commander, but still. You can search up any artifact you want for free and put it on the battlefield. Now, why did it say that? Well, I don't actually know why it said that. There was actually a similar card called Fabricate, which is the same thing, but it only put it into your hand. This just puts it directly into play. Now, this actually had to be banned in Commander because, well, in Commander, there's powerful creatures and then there's just broken artifacts. But Paradox Engine's banned, so I don't know why it's still on the ban list, but it's on the ban list because you could fetch up a lot of degenerate crap with this. And that's why it's on the ban list. And Tinker decks were fairly powerful in Standard at the time, so if they reintroduce it in Commander, yeah, that won't go over well. And yeah, that's going to do it for Urza's Legacy. Kind of a broken crap fest was there. And yeah, I went through this list fairly quickly this time because we're going to move on to the last part of Urza's Saga, or Urza's whatever story mode activated. So yeah, Urza's Legacy was kind of broken, and you'll see that Urza's Destiny is not just, it's barely the same as ever. So yeah, you're going to see that. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for the list. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the day or night. I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Bye, and peace.